right, welcome everyone. Today's webinar is how to use Zotero. My name is Shelby Lamar. I'm the Associate Director for the Center for Academic and Faculty Excellence here at Claremont Graduate University. I also have with me Jonathan Aragon. Let's go ahead and get started. So first, agenda for today, the main questions we're going to be asking is why use a reference management tool like Zotero? Next, how do I use Zotero? And finally, where can I find more help? So just to jump us off, why should you use a reference manager? If you are here today, you've already considered starting to use it, but I want to go over some of the benefits that we really see when people use reference management software. First, reference management software can work as an external memory. So it's a place where you can build your knowledge, reinforce your memory. So as you add things and review it, you are reinforcing your own memory. It can be a culmination of your MA and PhD research. So you have like this data backup and external memory of everything that you've done, because it is quite hard to remember everything that you cover either in your MA or PhD. And you have this one place where you can go for all of your notes. It's also easier to build connections between sources and between your notes to try and make those new ideas or those new connections. Finally, improving speed. So improving how quickly you can write and include references and citations and do your own research. So as far as connections go, you can look at everything an author has written or everything you have found on a particular topic. You can turn on kind of this years or timeline. So the order of time or the order in which you have found sources or the years that things have been published in the order they've been published. So you can see trends. You can also see which papers and articles and books are in conversations with each other, and really get into deep searches and find what you're looking for in your notes and in the articles and books that you're going to add to your reference management software. You can also have extensive notes. So instead of saving, PDFs with highlights and then having notebooks and also having separate files on your computer, everything can be in one place. So you can connect book reviews to particular books. You can have particular quotations you pull out or use. You can connect videos to particular pieces of sources or add sources that are videos. Blogs can be saved in their entirety, so the entire web page, so you have that original source, because the internet, it changes a lot, right? And so one source you might find on the internet, if you just save that link, might not be there in a couple years. You can also save all your PDF highlights right in a reference management software. And finally, speed. So how quickly you can do your research, take notes. It speeds up your writing instead of manually entering your citations. So for instance, you can enter all your citations into the document that you're going for, and then it can automatically just populate the bibliography based on the citations that you've used. You can make your own reading list for your qualifying exams. That can be really easy. So if you have to make adjustments, you can very quickly make bibliographies to give to your professors for them to review, make any changes, and submit it again, for instance. You can also work in groups really easily. So you can have group libraries where if you have a group project, like a presentation or a paper, it can be really easy to share notes and share sources and things like that. All right. What kind of reference management software is out there? Obviously, this one we're going to be talking about Zotero, but there's so many ones out there. So RefWorks, EndNote, Mendeley, you've probably heard of all of these. But one of the reasons we've picked Zotero is because it is free and open source. So that means that there's never going to be a time where you're going to have to pay to download this software. It also means that anyone can go in and read the code and make modifications to like mods that you can download. Basically, I don't use any of those, but they are out there. This works with Microsoft Word, Google Docs, and LibreOffice. It also has local and cloud storage. So you can just use the local storage on your computer, or you can also use the cloud backup. That's what I do. I like to have both so that if for some reason I spill a glass of water on my computer, I have everything backed up in the cloud and I don't lose it. I have done that before. When I was in undergrad, I spilled a whole glass of tea on my computer and I think I cried, and I eventually got it fixed, but like I was so glad that I had back then it was an external hard drive, right, that of a backup. So I can't emphasize, like, you don't want to work on your dissertation for 2 years and then you lose it, right, because of an accident or something like that. Also, you don't have to switch later. So sometimes universities will offer reference management software that's connected to a particular system. And that's great. But then oftentimes as you leave that university, or if you change jobs or, graduate or whatever, you might have to switch to a different program because it's not offered anymore. And a lot of times those are expensive programs, especially like EndNote and things like that. So this means you can use one system for the rest of your academic life and you don't have to move things around, because it can be quite difficult to change from one reference management software to another. It is possible and there are ways to do it, but it just makes things more difficult and I would be afraid of losing data. So finally, there is support for Zotero here on campus. That's one of the reasons I suggest using it. And if you want to use the cloud storage, it is a pretty cheap cloud if you need like additional storage than what's offered. So for instance, I've used mine for almost 10 years and I do have to buy the extra online storage, but I think it comes out to like $5 or something like that. So it's real for the year. So it is really cheap compared to a lot of the other offerings. All right, so here's the meat of what we're kind of getting into today. These are the basic functions I'm going to go over with you. And we'll leave the PowerPoint behind and I'll start sharing my screen. So first, I'm going to talk about like the interface, the basic interface you're going to see when you open up Zotero, how to add a source, both through the plugin method and through like a manual edition, how to add attachments to your sources, what the plugins kind of look like, and there are several different kinds of plugins you can use. How to do citations in Microsoft Word. I'll also briefly show you Microsoft or Google Documents if you want to use that as well. Those are the two most popular ones. How to automatically create a bibliography, kind of the cut and paste method. I'm also going to show you how to store your notes, how to connect notes to particular sources, how to create automatic notes for sources, which I think is very helpful. Kind of the difference between a library versus a collection, and you'll hear me talk about that a bit more, but it's an important distinction. How to work or set up like a group library and work with that. Finally, how to make sure you don't have duplicate sources or unfiled sources, and how tags function. So that sounds like a lot, but we have time to get through it all today, I think. And if not, I'm also going to share sources where you can go for more help for these things. All right, so I'm gonna stop this share real quick and switch to sharing my larger screen over here where I have everything pulled up. Let me see real quick. I think it's gonna be desktop one. There we go. All right, someone give me a thumbs up if you can see my my big screen with Zotero here on it. Yep, okay, perfect. All right, so first off, this right here is Zotero. This is my Zotero. I've changed it up a little bit so you won't see all of my stuff. I kind of put some stuff in archive, but one of the things that I like to show people is the collection I had for my qualifying exams. I think it's just a great way to show off how this can kind of look. So first off, once you download Zotero, this is what one looks like when you open it on your computer. You have your library here, which includes all of the sources that you have ever added to the system. right? And so it's just a very long list here in the middle. So you can see that this is kind of your folders area. This is where you're going to see your list of sources. And then on the right here, you have different things you can look at. You can look at the overall information for your source, notes, tags, and related sources. Usually I'm just over here in info. Up here at the top, you have a couple buttons, so you can make a new collection, which is kind of like a folder. You can add a source with this green button, and you can select what kind of thing you're wanting to add. That's a manual addition. If you're going to manually add a source, there's a little quick way to do it. If you have the ISBN of a book or something like that, you can put it in right here, and it will try and find it on the internet and pull information. You also have the ability here to add a standalone note that is not connected to a source, or a child note, which means that it is a note connected to a source. And what I mean when it's connected to a source is you can see here. So for instance, this source, I have 2 PDFs connected to it and a link to the ebook. This one you can see, okay, here's a good example. So this is a book. I wrote notes on the book, so you can see I have a little note here connected to it. I also connected 3 reviews that were written about the book to the book. So I can open up my notes for it. I can also open up a PDF of the review that I saved about the book. And you can see when I open up a PDF, it opens up another tab in Zotero. And in here, then I can highlight, take notes, whatever I kind of want to do, like that. And I'll show you more about the PDF functions here in a minute. So that, and then, oh, here's the other thing. This, you can attach things to sources here besides the notes. So if you want to attach a link or a stored copy of some kind of file, and then here is the search function. So those are the basic like buttons you have. And then going back over here to the left, you can see all of the folders that I have. So Zotero calls folders collections. And it does that for a very specific reason, because a collection is just a smaller list from your library. It's not separate from your library. And so what do I mean by that? I mean, all of the sources that you add are going to live in your library, this highest collection right here. Now then, you can have smaller collections from your library, but everything lives in your library. So what I mean is you can remove a book from one of your collections. So if, for instance, I don't want this book anymore, I can right click on it and say, remove item from collection. This might remove this item from this collection, but it will still be in my library. This is really just a smaller list of things from your library to give you a bit of organization. If you wanted to actually remove it completely from your Zotero, you would move your item to the trash. So just a little distinction there. All right, so that's kind of the overview of what Zotero looks like when you open it. Oh, and the tags are right here, any tags that you have. And this can be moved around. All of these can be moved around here. You can also select different columns if you'd like, that kind of thing. So how you would like to view it. But next, I want to talk about the most important part, well, maybe the one of 2 most important parts. And the first is adding a source. So if you have let's create a new collection here. So I'm going to do a new sub collection, and we're just going to call it test so I can show you all. How do we add our first source to Zotero? So there's 2 ways to do this. The first is to use a plugin. And so a plugin is something that lives in your internet browser. So for instance, I'm going to go over here to, I'm using Firefox. You can also use Safari or Chrome, and you can download the plugin, and you can see mine here. This is my little Zotero plugin button, and it just says Save to Zotero. So I'm ready to go add my source, and I will go to the library. And what I've searched for here is Zotero guide. And there are a few PDFs and things like that. And so what I'm going to do is click on Zotero, a guide for librarians. I'm going to click on it. It's going to give me more information in the library. And I can see that there's a PDF available and the basic information about this, right? So instead of manually adding this, I'm going to go to my plugin and say, save it. Now, when you want to save something, it matters where your cursor is in Zotero. So you have to have Zotero open for this to work. You can click My Library and the source will go into your big list of sources. Or if you go to a particular collection, when you add it, it will add to your collection right there. I mean, it goes to your larger library too, but this usually just is helpful to keep everything that you're adding together. So let's go ahead and hit the button, and you can see it's showing me this little function here. It's saving, it's working on it. And you can see it's working. You can hop over here and you can see what it's added. Now, at this point, I always say, like, I love the plugins, but don't trust the plugins. You always need to double check what has been added because it does make mistakes sometimes, you know, so you need to double check all the information is correct. So it says this is a journal article. There is the title, and we can confirm that that's the title. Then we'll look at like the publication, volume, issue, pages, date, DOI, all of that kind of stuff. You can add anything you think is missing or change anything. If there's multiple authors you need to add, you can just hit this plus button and add an author, or change it to, you know, like an editor if it's an editor. Okay, so we're going to say it got all of this information correct. It did not save the PDF. Often it will be able to pull the PDF and add it as an attachment, but it didn't do it for this item. So we're going to go ahead and view the PDF. Okay, and so what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to drag this over to Zotero, highlight where I want it to go, and then it will add it as an attachment. And it's also going to rename it based on the information it found here. So now you have a PDF that's correctly named and it's attached to all of the information here. If you want to do it without dragging, you can go to this little attachment thing and say attach stored copy of file, and then you can pull it up manually. So you can see here it's on my desktop, and I could say like add it here. And it's the same function. Okay, if you want to add one manually, what you do is just hit the green button. We'll add the journal article again. And I'm just going to copy and paste this here. So here's the title. There's the author, like that. And so you can see, you know, just, oh, I think I'd accidentally deleted that. There we go. And you would just add all of the information as you go. And then here, I'll show you how to manually add it as well. Adding the Zotero guide. And so you see, it looks pretty much similar, except we didn't add all of the information for it. So there you go. So you've added two sources now. We do have the same source, but I'll show you how to fix that in a little bit. Okay, so for your sources and attachments, and so you can do it manually now or do it through the plugins. Next, I want to show you how to actually use the citations when you're writing. So let's jump over. So before I continue on, actually, let me pause here. Anyone have any questions about how to add sources into Zotero, or anything about the what functions you're kind of seeing here on the screen? Oh, all right, I'll keep going. Put something in the chat or ask me out loud if you're interested. All right, let's jump over to Microsoft Word. Now, I do already have all these plugins downloaded, so I'm not going to walk you through how to download each of them, but it's pretty easy on the Zotero website to see that. So this is my Microsoft Word, and you can see I've copied and pasted this paragraph from our website, but let's say I have written this paragraph and I'm ready to add a citation. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see I have Zotero downloaded for my Microsoft Word already. I'm going to hit that button. It's just like any of the others, right? Like kind of your options bar here. And I'm going to add or edit a citation. I'm going to hit that one. And let me show you, this button popped up, but it popped up my own screen. Okay. Can you see the button? Yeah. This little pop-up. Awesome. Okay. So since this is the first time I'm adding a citation to my paper, it wants me to pick what citation style I'm going to be using. For this one, I'm familiar with APA and Chicago style, but I'm going to use APA for this one. And I'm going to go ahead, since it's already selected, just hit OK. And then go back over here to my Word thing. Now, this bar has popped up and it's trying to get me to search for whatever source I'm looking for. When this comes up, it's not connected to any of your collections. It's going to be able to search your entire library. So, but I'm going to use the library guide source that we already found. So you can either enter the title, enter the author, whatever you kind of want to do. And you can see Zotero, and I can see here's the guide that we already added. So I'm going to click that, and you can see it's added that. Hit enter, and it automatically adds that citation. Let's go ahead and put the period at the end. Now that is in there. Okay. Let's add another one with a page number. So I'm going to add a citation. Let's do something. I think I have another Zotero document in here. And you can see when I search this time, it's going to show the first one is going to be the one that I already did, because it's going to think like, well, maybe you want to do that same one again, which is just a nice function, right? But instead, I'm going to do this one. And to add a page number, really quickly, you just hit P, period, and then the page number, hit enter, and you can see now it has done the correct citation with the page number. Okay. And this is for APA style, but you can pick whatever kind of style you're working with. Okay. And then once you're done writing your paper, you're ready to add your bibliography. You have, again, two kind of options. I usually do the automatic bibliography, and I'm going to show you how to do that first. So first, you just go to add or edit bibliography, click the button, and it's going to automatically create a bibliography based on what you've already added. So we added two sources. Now you can see it has given me APA style citations for the two sources we've added. So I just put, resources or whatever references. And there we go. That just saves me a lot of time of having to manually add this. Now, again, this is only going to be accurate if you double check your source information when it went in. But it is pretty good once you get all the information in, doing it automatically. Now, if you want to do it manually, let's go ahead and delete this. There's another way to do that. And so what you would do is hit Shift or Command on your computer and select both of the sources you want to add as a bibliography. Right click, and then there's the option to create bibliography from items. You can click that and it'll say, okay, what kind? Let's do Chicago style this time. Chicago style, I want a bibliography and I want it to copy to my clipboard. So I'll say, okay. And then I can come over here and paste it in. Did I? Yeah. So you can see, let's see. I need a space in here, but there we go. So let's see. That's the manual way to do it. This is also really nice if you need to email this list to someone. Like I said, these can get really long, right? So just as an example, I've selected all. I'm going to create a bibliography from this list, APA. And if I just need to email this to someone, for instance, I can paste this entire, now it's like 9 pages, right? So this was the list I used for one of my qualifying exams. It's in alphabetical order. It was very easy for me to then just email this off to my professors. We could talk about it. I can make changes very quickly in Zotero, and then I could email it off to them again. Okay, so next I want to show you how to do this very similarly in Google Docs. So if you prefer to work in Google Docs, you can see that Zotero is here as well. You do have to authorize Zotero, but it's just a click through of like adding your password and saying, yes, I want Zotero to work with my Google Docs. So if you want to add your source, you would click this. Let me refresh the screen. Might be open too long. There you go. Okay. I want to add my source, and you can see here there's a drop-down menu, and it's very similar. So add citation. It's going to have me pick what I want, APA. And you see the search bar again. So, and we're going to pick this one, hit enter, and then it populates just like that one, just like Microsoft Word. And add bibliography. There you go. So very easy to add citations and add whole bibliographies. Very nice. And if you need to go back and change one of these, you can always put it over whatever citation you need to change and say, oh, I need to edit that. So just hit the edit button. And I say, oh, I forgot to add the page number. There we go. And then it'll automatically fix it. Right? So if you need to make any changes, it can automatically change it. So for instance, if you're writing really long documents like a thesis or dissertation, this becomes so helpful because you can change things very quickly. It will also do footnotes and endnotes. So whatever kind of thing you're looking for, it can handle in your thing here. Let me do an example of, I'm going to delete all this, the footnotes so you all can see it. All right, let's do a document preferences. I want to do endnotes or footnotes. Let's do footnotes. Okay, and now you can see the document has footnotes instead of in-text citations. So those things are really easy to change. If you are submitting an article to someone that to a journal that uses Chicago, and then they want you to do APA or they want you to do MLA, it's very easy to switch between those. So instead of like hours of work, it's a very easy switch from one to the other. All right. So let me check my notes here. What else did I want to show you? Oh, the notes function. So this is one of the things that saved me a lot of time when I was working on my qualifying exams or when I write a paper in general. So in my notes, I would like write out what, let me back up. Okay, there's 2 kinds of notes. There's notes you write yourself, and then there's auto notes in Zotero. So I'm going to show you what one of the auto notes looks like. So let's go to our text function and open up the PDF. Say I'm going to sit down, I'm ready to read this journal article, and I'm going to highlight some stuff here that I find interesting. So I'm going to highlight this sentence, maybe this one, and you can see it's populating over here on the left side. I can also change the colors. Maybe this is a negative statement or something like that. And that one shows up red. So you can organize your highlights. So if you just want to see everything that's highlighted in red, you can see it down here, everything just in yellow. You can search your annotations. You can also add tags, like kind of post-it notes. I usually don't use these, but you can use that as well if you're interested. All right. Now, once you're done reading everything, go back to your main page, right click, and you can say add note from annotations. So it's going to read all of your annotations that you made, and it's going to create an automatic note. I love this function. So now you have a note with all of your quotations, including the page number where it came from. And one of the things that is I find really great is when you click on just the quotation, you can say show on page. So now you click on that, it's going to take you back to where that original quote was from. So for instance, if you read an article, you took notes on it, and it's been a year, right? You're in a new class, but you find, oh, I remember that one source, that one quote I want to use. But before using a quote, you always want to go back and read the context, right? Just to make sure that you're using the note correctly. So this can be a really helpful way to go back, double check where something came from, and to use in a paper. Okay. And then you can also do one manually. So add child note. So for instance, I might make a note about, let's see. I don't know, problems or, like critiques of this article. Then I can list it out, right? Like, here we go. These are the problems with this research article. And you can also, it has all the regular things you're looking for here as well. So that gives you a really cool way to go back and look at any notes you've had on a particular topic, stuff like that. One of the things that I found also really helpful with this was that I could do a standalone note. And this would be my checklist for this project, right? If I'm writing a paper, I would just have one collection for the paper. And one of the things I would do was have a notes of things to do. And I would number it. And it might be like search for X source. The next thing might be to make outline, write chapter 3. Or it might be things to ask my advisor. And then you can make your notes. I would also take notes from the conversations I had with my advisor about a particular article, so I would also remember it. So those were just nice things to do to keep everything in your project together. Sometimes I would copy and paste emails that I needed information from, things like that. Especially for longer projects, it's really great. Something like dissertation or quals or something like that. And then let's see. Next thing I wanted to talk to you about was duplicates. So let's go back to our test here. So we have a problem right now is we have two sources, and one of them has correct information and one of them doesn't, right? So, but one of them also has our notes and one of them doesn't. So one of the cool things that Zotero can do is identify when you have two of the same sources. So maybe I was working on an article and I added a source, and then later I found the source for a different, class assignment and added it again, forgetting that I had already read that article. Well, if you go over here and go down to duplicate items, it will show you any duplicates that you might have. And the cool function is once you click on it, it says like, hey, you've got two items, so you don't lose any information. And so you don't have to manually click things over. Let's go ahead and merge them. So it's going to merge my notes. It's going to merge all of the information that I have. And so when we go back to our collection here, you see we only have one. It's kept all my annotations, all of my notes. It's kept the article, but it's also made sure all of the information was here as well. So that's a really, really nice way of making sure that you don't lose any information or, you know, you've already read an article and you realize, oh, I already have notes on it. So just something that's really nice to click on every now and then to make sure that you don't have those duplicates floating around. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you that is really helpful are the tags. So once you get to where you have a ton of sources in here, which I hope you do, because that means you're using it, it means you're doing lots of research, you will need to find things easily. And the search function is great. I use it a lot, but I also find the tagging system can be really helpful, also for visual seeing what's happening with my list. So for instance, this is my Hebrew Bible qualifying exam. And you can have, I think it's like 5 special tags that have colors on them, which is really nice. So for instance, when I read a book or an article, I marked it as done with a green dot. And that meant to me that I have read the article. Now then, I didn't always take notes on the books or articles that I read because I thought, this isn't going to be that important, or maybe I didn't have time. So I also have a notes tab. That means that like I read it, I took notes on it, and then I also use this other tag. So you can have whatever tags you want. I had a major work tag. So these were the tags that I said, these articles or books are really, really important. And so that way I could easily click this and say like, what were all the really important works? So you can see that like I went down from, I don't know, I think I ended up with like 100 books here or something. But the major works that were most important were these. And that was a really nice, and you can see everyone that was a major work, I also took notes on and I read, obviously. So that kind of helps. And then you can have other notes as well. So I had a not required note. These were notes, or these were books from my qualifying exams that weren't required on my reading list. But in my exploration, I found that they were going to be helpful because they helped me understand other works, or that I just hadn't found before. I also have tags about like what it's talking about. So Ruth and Naomi was one of the topics. So these are characters in the Hebrew Bible, and everything that mentioned them, I went ahead and tagged with. So I could easily, when I'm writing about that topic, hit that tag and it populates it for me. Right. I also did, you know, like everything on Eve. And so how these tags works is when you click on them, it will only show you what you've clicked on. So everything that says done. And if you click more notes, and then it's going to narrow it down, everything that had done and notes. And then you can see everything that had to do with, you know, women, for instance, or whatever. So these are really like easy ways to visualize and change. So with these special tags, how you do that is you just have a tag, you right click and you can assign a color, and you can have like up to, I guess it's 4, and then pick the color. The other thing to do is if you want to tag a regular thing, you can see here in our test collection, we don't have any tags. So you can see these are ones that I've used before, but they're not dark, so that means I haven't used them. So how to add a tag is you go over here to the right and click tags, select add, and I'll say this one is about Zotero. Type it out, hit enter, and now we have a new tag that shows up over here. And when you're in a collection, it's only going to show you the tags that you're currently using and then your main colored ones. So if I go to my library and click on it, you can see every tag that I've used. And it just keeps going, right? But if you're in a collection, it will only show you the tags that you've got and your major tags. So you can add as many tags as you want. And it will also, when you add a tag, so let's add one over here. It will help you see any Q tags that you have that you can use, for instance. So it'll kind of show you the ones you've already used. Another way to add tags is to simply drag over to a tag. So I can drag this one. You can see it's kind of moving. And I say, I'm going to want it to say done. So I just highlight over it and then it will show done or major work. You can also tag your standalone notes if you want to do something like that as well. So those are the how tags work. How I make sure to use tags is I think about collections as projects. So these are my projects, and tags are like topics or statuses of a particular work. So have I read it? Have I not read it? Do I have notes on it or not? Is it like if I'm writing an article, I might say like everything that has to do with World War II, it's going to be marked with that. Anything to do with World War I will be marked with something else, right? And a work might have multiple tags, but it's more about like finding things within a project. So I like to have project collections and then tags like that. The only other, oh, I have a ton of chats. I have been ignoring that. I'm so sorry. Um, okay. Can you go over one more time how you got this point where it is brought up in the search bar? Since it's been a little while, I'm not quite sure what where you brought up in the search bar. Like the search bar in Zotero here? Oh, or the Zotero one. Yeah, hitting that button for the search bar. If you're switching between journal articles, can you take a book you wrote? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think I kind of showed that you can switch back and forth. Oh, demo the merge function again. Okay, I can totally do that. So let's try it again. So you can also duplicate an item. I'm just going to duplicate it real quick so you can see that. So now we have two. I'm even going to do another one. So let's just like duplicate it again. So now we have three that are the same. One of them only has the article and the annotations though, right? So go over to the duplicate items. You click on it and you can see the merge button and you merge those three items. Go back and you just have the one again. So duplicate items and then select it and hit the merge button. Pretty easy. Okay, and how do you initially create the tags? I think I showed you that, but let's go over it really quick again. So go to a source, click the tags button and click add to add whatever source you would like. Let's see. I've had a lot of people, individual items from archive collections. Any tips on that? So Katie, what kind of archives are you talking about? Like document archives?
Yeah, so I've been doing some archival research for stuff that has like, yeah, like documents that has like newspapers, which I feel like I'm a little more confident in citing versus just like pamphlets. But I feel like I've had a lot of people tell me that like that's a great way to keep track of it, but then I keep just taking notes on a different page. Because I'm
Yeah,
like intimidated by Zotero so far to like actually use it for like the note-taking process, but then I'm trying to transfer stuff back over into it, and I feel like it's making more work for me rather than less. But yeah.
yeah, okay, great question. So first off, I will say it does seem at first until you get really used to it, like it's going to take more work. And I'm not to minimize that. It does take a little work at first to get really smooth with it, but you will see the returns so much when you go to write articles, when you go to write your thesis and your dissertation and quals. Like it will pay for itself 100 times over. So I really do encourage you to use it. Or something like archives. So what you can do is come over here and you can see there's magazine art. Here's newspaper article. So select that and you would add all of your information, right? Now, if I'm assuming you're in the archives, you've potentially taken an image of the newspaper. You can go to the attach function, attach a stored copy of file, and let's just pick an image. This is, oh, this isn't, I stole someone's activity from a web webinar I was interested in. So now I've added that, and you can see that this image is now connected to the source. So you will forever have all of the information of where you got it. You know, location and archive is a special section here for those kinds of things. And then you have the attached screenshot of or the attached image that you have of it. You can also attach things like videos, anything like that as well. Oh, one of the things I wanted to show you was if you wanted to save a whole web page, one of the things that Zotero will do is save a whole web page for you. So if they ever take the web page down or change the web page, you still have that original thing that you can fully cite. So you're not going to lose those citations. So you just use the plugin again, say save to Zotero, and this is just a website. You can see it's saving, and it shows that it's a web page. Here's the title, the website title, and the URL. Now you can see it's saved a snapshot. So even if that web page is deleted for whatever reason, you can double click this and you will have a permanent copy. Now it'll open up in your browser like you opened a link, but it's not a link, it's just a file that you've actually opened. And you can see that it saves the link as well, but it's actually a file. So if I go back to the snapshot, you can see like it's not quite the same as far as like links and stuff go. Okay. Yeah, keep track of references, all of that. Yes, absolutely. I will say that like, okay. I use this for random things as well, not just sources, and you can use it like that. So for instance, I have a running list of things that I need to add to my CV, and it's just a list because I like to keep my like everything kind of going here, like you know, conferences and presentations that I've done that I need to add to my CV, for instance. Stuff like that. And so, oh, groups. Sorry, let me show you groups a little bit. So here's a group library. To do a group, you need to log into Zotero. Let me do that real quick. Oh, if you're ever away from your computer, you can also access everything online if you have the cloud version. So see here, you're going to have a complete copy of my entire like library. It's going to take it to populate because it's a lot. So this is on just the internet as well if I need to access it. But you can go to groups and you can set up a group library, join a group library, manage it, manage members, stuff like that. So you can have different types like private or like an open group if you want anyone on the internet to be able to see it. So that's how you set it up. But then it shows up in your Zotero library and you can see it here. And you can see there's a ton of duplicates here actually that I should clean up. So let's do it again. Let's just merge these duplicates. There you go. Okay, and so this is a group library where multiple people can come in, take a look at it. If you set it up so they can edit it, they can edit and add things as well. It's just a really nice way to have multiple people working on a topic. Okay. Let me check here. When it looks for duplicates, does it search for the title only? Or if two sections have the same title but different info? So it's mostly looking at the title, but it can have different information. Like if information is missing or something like that, it will recognize it and then merge it. So if one of them has the information and another one doesn't, it will keep the information. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to, one of the other things I wanted to show you real quick, let's go back to, is if you do want to upgrade your storage, oh, okay, it's not $5, it's 20 for your first gig, but you can, there's a free plan where you don't have to select anything. So I've been using this for 10 years, and I'm not even in the unlimited category. So, and then, oh, hang on, I wanted to go back and show you, this is where you can get help on installation, quick start, frequently asked questions. They have really great documentation here. So any question you might have, they can help you with. Okay. Before we run out of time, I just want to quickly go back to my PowerPoint to make sure that I've covered everything. This is just a reiteration of some of the things I've already said. And oh, one of the things I wanted to remember was turn off and delete the auto tags. So this is something that throws people off a lot in Zotero, is that let me stop and share my Zotero again. Sorry for the back and forth here. Okay, so you go to your settings in Zotero. Actually, I'm going to do it again because you can't see the whole thing. Desktop 1. There we go. Okay, so when you go to Zotero, there's settings where it says automatically tag items with keywords and subject headings. Do not, like, make sure this is turned off, because if it's turned on, it's just going to randomly select tags for you. And so you're going to have a lot of tags that you did not set up yourself, and it'll be very confusing. So anytime you add something, it's going to say, you think maybe we should tag this with, you know, the Civil War and World War I, but that's not why you've chosen that source. You've chosen that source because, you know, you actually want to look at things with, like, Cuba, for instance. And so you're going to, like, select that. So turn off the automatic tags. You don't want that one turned on, or it's going to, like, really mess with all of how you're organizing things. Okay. Next is okay.
We want to have some time for the poll, right?
Yep, that's what I was going to do next. So I know this was a quick webinar, but I hope that you got a lot out of it. Here is a poll to just share some feedback with me. It's anonymous, so I can't tell who did what. Please let me know if you liked this, what I could do better, and kind of who you are, so we can make sure that we're serving everyone at the university with these webinars. Okay. In the meantime, I did want to share upcoming, oh, here's all the resources. So you can see the library support, Zotero's website, all of those links that you might find helpful. And then also the links to our upcoming webinars. We have one on writing diversity statements and one on promoting active learning. All right, so now that that stuff is out of the way, what questions do you all have? I know I covered that really quickly, but I can also stay a bit later to answer any questions you all are interested in.
Kim was asking, can you take a group folder someone else set up and have a copy of that on your desktop?
Great question. Okay. So yes, and let me show you how to do that. Let's open Zotero up. So now you've got a group library, and you want to make a copy of it. So all you have to do, select all, and you can actually drag this right into your library. So I'm just dragging them all. It's going to take the computer a second. Come on, computer. Well, maybe I can just say add to collection. Or I can drag it. I'm going to try and drag it. Oh, there it goes. Okay, so you can see I'm dragging all of this into our little test collection. And then I have a copy of everything. So yes, if someone has a group library, you can very easily grab all of that and put it into your library very easily. So great question. Okay. How do you get everything you have saved to your computer to the cloud? Great question. It happens automatically. So what happens is that this button right here shows you that it's syncing with the cloud. And it will always sync with Zotero Cloud until your storage is full. And then it'll stop. But if you if you need like extra storage for whatever reason, it took me a long time before I needed extra storage, then it will just automatically sync with Zotero servers. So great question. Let's see. Any other questions? I really enjoyed y'all's questions. It's really been. Will you be notified if your storage is full? Yes, I believe that they will. It will show a little red like exclamation mark here, and it'll say like your storage is full. Now then, if your storage gets full, you don't lose all of your information. It's just only on your local. It will still have all the other information is backed up. It will just stop adding new things to the cloud, and you will still have your local storage as well. Great. Is it, oh, on the webpage? Yeah, so to, I'll just show you all real quick since I have everything set up here. Show you on this desktop. If you go to our website, we have our webinars listed right here. You can see the past ones in our YouTube. Just click on our YouTube. You can search for it, or it's right here on the side. You can see our YouTube channel there, and you can also sign up for future website or webinars here as well. So great questions.
And if you subscribe and turn on notifications, then as soon as we upload a new video, you'll see it.
Yes, awesome. Thank you, Jonathan. Any other questions? I'll just keep rambling until someone asks something else, but I know it seems like a lot of work. It seems a little bit overwhelming, but this is something you can totally do. It just takes a little bit of time to get used to. And, you know, your setup might even be a little bit different from mine, but you'll get into this flow of doing it, and it will ultimately make your life a lot easier. You'll be able to have and find things so much faster than having, you know, random files on your desktop and downloading the same thing over and over again to reread because you've forgotten where it was at. And it really means your projects are all together, especially when if you're interested in becoming faculty and become faculty. It means that when you have multiple projects going on, you have all of that information together, right? So if you're, you know, have a document in the review process and you get the reviewer's feedback, you have everything all set up to go back, take a look. You have all of your sources there. You're less likely to have, you know, plagiarism issues because you have all of your quotes saved and stuff like that. So you're not going to accidentally plagiarize something as well. So. All right, it's 1 o'clock, so I'll let you all go. Feel free to stay if you have any other questions, but otherwise, I hope to see you all at another webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great talk. Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Shelby,
Right.
if you have a second, I do have a
Absolutely.
quick question for you.
Yeah.
So I was invited to a group by one of my professors, and I can access it on the web app, but I'm not sure how to access it on the desktop app.
Okay, great question. I think I didn't mention this. I'm going to share my screen real quick to show you. I thought they ended up, oh, here it is. It's so instead of the collection button, it's the brown button.
Mhm.
And you can say new group, and you can search for your group. So for instance, and it will, oh, there's a lot. Anyway, and you can, select to join, and then it should show up once you refresh your screen here.
It wasn't showing it in the screen share, but when Shelby did that, a search button.
Oh, sorry.
It was the
It
refresh.
popped up.
The refresh key. It was the key that did
Okay.
it. So, great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you so much. This is super helpful. Can't tell you.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out if you all have any other questions or anything like that.